I should be looking up. 2 minutes.
A very good morning to all present here. We welcome our most vibrant, brave, and inspirational Neerja Malik, our very own member, as a guest speaker today. Welcome all the dear members too, and all the friends who've joined in. Hope all of you are keeping well. Hope all of you are vaccinated. And in case of any help, please reach out to any five of us. If you are still not vaccinated, please do ASAP. It's a lovely reminder to thank our mothers for all the love they have given us. This Mother's Day is all about reminding ourselves of this wonderful gift. The gift of being a mother, being a child, being a family, and the amount of love we have for each other. I would like to thank my mother and my mother in law on this day for giving me a strong sense of individuality, ethics, integrity. And these are the qualities which I value most, and we all should introspect on. Happy Mother's Day. I would like Nina to please join in.
Thank you, Sujata. On that note, yes, it's a dedication to all mothers, including ourselves. I think it's something to look forward to for us and to celebrate whatever the outside circumstances are. And today's meeting, yes, I would like to dedicate today's meeting also to my mother, who has actually instilled a sense of dressing and style to me. I think I would like to dedicate that. Apart from, she was the most bindas, coolest mom in town. I think that's something else that I've imbibed from her. Totally non-judgmental and very, very caring. Anyone coming to a house could never leave the house without having a meal. So to my mother today. Thank you, Suj. It gives me great pleasure to welcome a very, very dear friend, Neerja Malik. Yeah. In one word, I just call her babe. For many years, that has been what I have been calling her, and I will continue to do that. In her words, I would like to read out a profile.
No, it's too long.
Neerja, I still remember the first time I saw you was at Suraya's class. And like I was telling Suraya, I'm so grateful because through Suraya and to Arogya and the classes, we have made some fantastic friends. And one of them is also my really good friend, Rathi. Okay. So thanks to Suraya for that. I still remember the first time I spotted you. She was sitting on the parapet and trying to take some pictures of the class. Okay. That is never going to leave my mind. Okay. And from that tomboy that I knew Neerja as, to something else today is an astounding journey. And she's going to share all those details with us. Coming back to profile, I hope I do justice when I talk about her. In Neerja's words, I was born to very caring and supportive parents 66 years ago.
68 today. 68 today. They were married today, Nina. What a day you've chosen.
Wow, that's my reason to celebrate. Happy anniversary to you and my. And my life was a series of happy and exciting adventures. They were God-loving, not God-fearing folks. And this thought became deeply embedded in my psyche. There is a deep sense of gratitude to the Almighty for gifting them to me. My mother always proclaimed that everything happens for the best, and in retrospect, that is always so. My father's advice to me when I'd been diagnosed for the first time, I told him I would fight cancer was, why don't you face it rather than fight it? Fight is a negative word and is aggressive in nature. Face is positive. It shows that you can and you will overcome it. And she has shown it to us, not once, but twice. She has reveled in this positivity from a very early age. And she says, my passion is to literally live as if to pass on this attitude to all sections of society. This habit is so deeply ingrained in me that it has become a natural part of my persona. God had already decided, I believe, the purpose of my existence, and apart from doing my graduation social work and getting a BA degree, he made me study a great deal in the University of Life. How beautifully said. My journey has been strewn with innumerable hurdles, including broken bones. Oh my God, I know many miscarriages, a stillborn, premature twins, many surgeries, cancer twice, and septicemia. I remember this horrible last journey of yours through a major part of 2019. My vast experience as both a social worker and a teacher in various schools honed my skills and prepared me to do what I was meant to: counsel patients afflicted with cancer and their family members and caregivers for the last 21 years. Oh my goodness.
23.
23 years with unbridled passion and dedication. I called myself a conqueror rather than a survivor and started the Apollo Cancer Support Group on the 8th of March, 2004, and inaugurated the Pollachi Cancer Support Group on the 2nd of February, 2018. In this regard, I was invited by the Department of State, USA, wow, as a participant for the first ever IVLP, International Visitors Leadership Program in Breast Cancer in October 2008. A glorious 21-day exposure to hospitals and NGOs in 6 major cities dealing in the different aspects of awareness, prevention, and cure in the field of breast cancer, and to study the latest trends of treatment in terms of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. Let me tell you, our first stop, if anyone is afflicted with cancer, especially breast cancer, we give them Neerja Malik's number. And she has personally helped out so many friends and staff of ours. So thank you for that. She has taken part in the famous 3-day, 60 miles race for the cure in Tampa, Florida. She says, I have discovered that I lead by example because I very strongly state that if I can do it, so can you. The direct and simple way I speak about the incidents in my life which are quite traumatic and shattering. The treasures I have discovered along my path, like love, fun, laughter, God, faith, miracles, death, acceptance, attitude of gratitude, abundance, and living in the now. And how these have helped me face and tackle adversities and conquer not only cancer, but life as well. My intense faith in and belief in God, the power of love and prayer, and my deep sense of gratitude first inspires and encourages them, and then gives them the hope and strength to overcome the challenges with courage, joy, positivity, grit, and grace. I believe all this is totally true. My book, I Inspire, narrates the story of my very existence. So this is Neerja Malik. She calls herself a cancer conqueror and not a survivor. She is also a TEDx and inspirational speaker and has authored the book I Inspire, which she will tell you about, and which was released at the Duchess Club 6 years back. And I still remember vividly how we had done up the place in the color blue with blue balloons. So much of a celebration. One of our best meetings, Neerja. So some of the awards, I mean, this we did not even know about, but I would like to talk about it. Has been the Positive Health Award by Dr. Batra's, Zindagi Live Award, Outstanding Inspirational Women Award by Fiki, the Certificate Appreciation, Rose of Vrindavan Award, Women Achiever Award by the Rotary, Lifetime Achievement Award by Agni Leadership, Women of Substance Cancer Crusader Award by Fiki Flo, Exceptional Women of Excellence Award by the Women Economic Forum, Literary Excellence Award by the Asiad Literature Festival, and Miss Malati Award by the Women Doctors Association, Tamil Nadu, and the iconic Women Creating a Better World for All Award 2020 from the Women Economic Forum. Oh my God, I mean, this is like endless. These are some of the things that I could talk about. And like I said, it's a great honor, privilege to actually introduce my good friend Neerja. And over to you, sweetheart. Love you lots, now and always.
We welcome Neerja's mom, Kamal. She's on screen, Nina.
Ma, welcome to the meeting. You are the heroine of today. The meeting is dedicated to you, Ma.
You know, I saw Ma and my tears just flowed uh, because I was with her on her 91st birthday on the 19th of March. And just to remind myself of it, though I doesn't need reminding, I'm wearing the same clothes that I wore on her birthday. And uh, Ma, I love you so much, Ma. And what I am going to do is just play a song. And it's strange. I've had this song with me on my cell phone for the last, I don't know how many years. I never thought that I'd get a chance to play it. Um, but I have a feeling that it would resonate with all of us. So I'm going to play this right now. Can you hear it? Thank you, Duchess Club. Thank you, my Paanch Pyaaris, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Hi, Mama. I am remembering you and Papa so much because today, 68 years ago, you two got married. And thanks to the fact that you two got married, we two, my sister and I, are here. So today is dedicated to mothers. And when I talk about mothers, I am not talking only about biological mothers. I'm talking about all women. I'm not only talking about women, I'm also talking about girls. Because you know something, it is the maternal instinct that matters. Nowadays, there's so many girls who have pets. And don't you think they feel maternal towards the pets? That is what we have to nurture. If they don't have pets, they have dolls, they have toys. And that feeling that comes from deep within to embrace everyone within ourselves is what I salute today. I salute the woman, the girl, the caring, the sharing, the compassionate, the loving in each and every one of us. And I'm so happy to be sharing this day with my mother right here on my sister's laptop with my brother in law in the background. And I am so happy. I couldn't have had a better present today. So, today is their anniversary, and I am dedicating this not only to my mother, but also to her mother. Because you know, my granny, my nanny, was a Leo. And when I talk about Leo, she was one royal persona. When people came to Kapurthala to get her married, she was missing. And so was the elephant from the house. While the mahout was asleep, my nanny jumped onto the elephant and took it for a ride. And when they couldn't find the bride to dress her up, she was all of 13. The mahout was woken up, beaten. They all got onto horses and they ran after the elephant, got it back, got my Nani dressed, and got her married. She was 13, and her best friend was a 12-year-old girl who she met in Srinagar. And that is where my connection with Srinagar began. My Nani got married and went to Srinagar, where all her progeny and my mother's siblings were born, and I and a lot of my cousins were born also. Now, that is my Nani for you. And you know who enjoyed the scooter rides on my uncle's Lambrettas while I was busy driving? Not my mother. My mother was scared. She would say, no, no, you drive too fast. You're very rash. My Nani would get onto the Lumbretta behind me and push me. So I would be sitting on the edge of the scooter. She was in 3/4 of my seat, all of hers. And thankfully, in those days, the Lambretta seats were not upright like the Bajaj, but like this. So she would spill onto that also. And we would have a wonderful time because suddenly she'd tell me in Pune, let's go to Marzurin, let's go for a movie, let's go and get something to eat. I had a blast with my Nani. That's my Nani for you, for having given birth to my mother, who then in turn gave birth to me and my sister. And a lot of the characteristics, you talk about coming down generations. I am so happy and so proud and so grateful to be born in this family. Now, my Dadi, after all, my father's mother, she also had a lot to do with my coming and being here on this earth. My mother is very keen to name me Neerja. There was a lovely friend of my Masi called Neerja Mattu, and Mummy had decided. But then, she got an inland from Palambur, where my Dadi stayed. And the inland said, come quickly, we have to do a namkaran for your daughter. So I and my mom got dispatched to Palambur, which is in Himachal Pradesh. They were in the midst of a tea estate. And when they say history repeats itself, isn't it beautiful? Since 92, my parents have a home in the middle of the tea estate in Kunur. And so from Ekantika, we are in Highfield Cottages. And my Nani's and Nana's home was called Swastika in Srinagar. And guess what? I was conceived in Kunur and born in Srinagar. So I have literally embraced the north, the south, the east and west of India and all its population. In fact, I love everyone in the whole wide world. And that also is from my family heritage. So my mother very sweetly told my grandmother that, uh, here she is. I would like to call her Neerja, but whatever you decide, I will go entirely with whatever you decide. My granny was one of the few ladies who had done her graduation in those days. So you know what she did? She told the Pandit who had come to do the Namkaran, she said, Panditji, my son works in water, Pani. He is in the Navy, the Indian Navy. My daughter-in-law's name is Kamal or Kamla, a lotus flower. So their child should be called Neerja, born out of water. So that is how my mother's very diplomatic way of saying that this is what I would like, but if you choose anything else, that is fine with me. So I think that flexibility, that keeping all your options open, that being aware that you have two sides of every coin, that you can do this, you can also do this. So from a very early age, I started imbibing this, or with the sheer power of osmosis, without even realizing that these things have started happening. Of course, some of the things go a bit wonky. I was born on the dining table at home because my Nani's best friend was Sant Kaur, Dr. Sant Kaur, who was a gynecologist. And every time my mother says, you eat too much, I said, it's not my fault. Who told you to give birth to me on a dining table? So that is our story. Now, ladies, please hang on to your seats because I'm going to take you through a roller coaster ride of things that happened in my lifetime, and my mother played a large part in it. But two things I want to get out of the way so that I can then focus on the nice, happy, wonderful things that she did for me and stood by me along with my sister and my father like the rocks of Gibraltar. So here I am, a 2, 3 year old child in Bombay when the door opened in the middle of the night. And I got out of my room and I was standing behind the door looking. And guess what? This bearded man actually held my mother in his arms. And I thought to myself, I must complain to my father. You see, my father used to disappear for months on end on the ship. And on the ship, it's only the naval officers in those days who were given permission to grow a beard, not the army, not the Air Force. So every time he came home, he would have this huge beard. And myself, like a little detective, I said, I'm going to complain to my father. Let him come back. That one man came home in the middle of the night and he hugged my mother. The next morning, when I got up to check on what was happening, it was my father who shaved off his beard. So again, another learning that what you perceive may not actually be the truth. I really thought that I would have a lot to complain about my mother to my father, about my father. So, once again, the same thing. That yes, what you see and what you think of may not actually be the truth, the absolute truth. So these are the little examples in my life. Of course, the other thing was I learned from my mother that when someone takes advantage of you, when someone sits on your head, you must take a stand and put them in their place. And guess how I was put in my place? I was a dreamy child, everywhere else but where I should be. And my mother said, have your yogurt, have your dahi. And I'm sitting there thinking, God knows, when she's sitting next to me, all I remember is a wooden bench and the dahi is on it and my mother's next to me and I'm dilly-dallying. And I think she got so mad at me that she just picked up that katori of dahi and shoved it onto my head. And I had it. And imagine the audacity. I was actually licking it while it was rolling down my face. But it taught me that, hello, it's perfectly fine to take a stand when someone is taking advantage of you and when someone needs to be put in their place, like my mom put me. Of course, my mother went through a hell of a lot. There was one time when I had a very bad throat and I was taken to the MI room and coughing, coughing, coughing. I was a tiny little girl in the same house where this gentleman came and turned out to be my father. When we went to the MI room, the doctor saw me and gave tiny little glass bottles with rubber caps. It was like, something to soothe the voice. And to date, when people say, I have a sweet tooth, I say all of mine are sweet because that medicine was sweet and I loved it. And I saw that when we went home, my mother put it on the topmost shelf and I waited for her to go away. And then I took one stool and put it on another table and another stool. And I managed to, with great initiative, get to the top and get those 4, 5 bottles down. And then I sat on the floor in my little frock, smoking frock, with all these bottles. And one by one, I opened all the rubber tops and I drank it. Now, when my mother came home, I was flat out. What did they say? Talli hogi, dead to the world as if I was drunk. And she took me and rushed me back to the MI room. And I think they made me puke and stuff like that. And I realized, all right, you need to take prompt attention, prompt action in an emergency. But you also, and I learned this from her when my kids came along, you also had to ensure that things that were supposed to be staying out of their hands, you double ensured that they couldn't get it. So I became a past master in doing things doubly for my twins because they were double trouble. So if she put it on the shelf, I would keep the shelf locked with key. I learned all this from my mother. There was another time. I mean, there's so many things. I'm sitting in the garden in Srinagar, in our lovely home there. Shocked, fat, chubby child, deeply immersed in the world of the dog. I think that is where my love for animals started. And I was so intent. So of course, it was a huge house. So from every window, they would keep an eye on me. And I was occupied till my aunt came down. And what did she see I was busy doing? I was sitting with the dog and picking it, the big fat ticks. The small ones didn't, appeal to me. It was the big fat ticks that I was plucking and eating like an afternoon snack. I've shattered my mother quite often because I remember that once we were coming from, we would always be driving, and we were passing through Jammu, and there was the principal of their college, Miss Shaw, who also happened to be my grandmother's friends. Now look at that. My grandmother's friends, a gynecologist, osmosis of doctorate. My other grandmother's friend, principal of a college, education. So you see how these things get connected and they actually come into your being without realizing. Another of my grandmother's friends was a matron. And from her, I picked up so much stuff. Like when they became old and her fingers became like this, she used to make me, and I hated doing it, but she used to make me cut 30 to 40 pods of garlic. And then in front of my eyes, she would have it all. You understand? So you realize the importance of garlic from the matron of a hospital. She ran it with, like the Iron Woman. But the fact of the matter is, you are absorbing all these things. And of course, there was a lot of mischief, and my poor mother had to contend with a lot of things. So, one of the things was that we were supposed to sleep in the afternoon. So, there was a separate room where her youngest sister and I were kept in the afternoon after lunch, and we would be woken up with glasses of milk in the evening because everyone should sleep in the afternoon. And guess what? We would put pillows under the blankets, and the window led to a branch of a tree. And then we would get down into the garden. And we had been told, don't eat kacha badam, don't eat kacha walnuts, don't eat kacha apple, and definitely don't eat the shatush. The shatush are those mulberry, which were at the gate. So to get to them, you had to clamber up the gate, and we were quite tiny. And then you had to do all kinds of acrobatics to get to the top on the wall, and then clamber onto the tree so that you could eat those succulent red things. So every afternoon we would disappear. And when we would see that it is now tea time, we never had watches, of course, but we could hear a lot of noise. And we'd go rushing up and quickly get into bed with innocent little faces. I think that's where my acting started. I loved to act in schools and colleges and blah, blah. I think even in Soraya's classes, we did a lot of acting. Sakina and I remember once, oh, I have to tell you this. In Soraya's class on April Fool's Day, there was one session where you had to just bend down. And that is the point I chose to faint. And everyone came charging around me. And I was flat out. Someone was loosening my belt, someone was removing my shoes. And you know what Nina Reddy did? Nina left everything and ran to the bench and just sat down over there. She was the only one who was not around me. I don't know what she was feeling, but there she was. And I was flat out. And Bhavna, she was saying, move, move, let her breathe, let her breathe. I mean, there's so much of stuff, so much of naughty stuff I've done. And sometimes I think back and say, my poor mother, she was probably getting complaints from the teachers all the time as to all that I did. I mean, in school, do you know what I used to do in marketing? In the afternoon, when it was very hot, I would quietly go into the corridor and switch off the electricity. Now, when the electricity is off, you can't stay in your class. So we would all be told to come down and with a chair, and our teacher would, sit on the chair and try to teach us geography. And Miss, look at the big fat slug. Miss, look at this. So we did all those things. But all this had an element of fun. And now comes the serious part. Another thing my parents did, they encouraged me to do everything. I mean, I was the game's captain. And other mothers and fathers may have said that, listen, you're not leaving Delhi. You're not going with the rest. But I actually participated in the first national cross-country race of India, representing Delhi at Lucknow. And they let me go. I was in the NCC. We went to Kandaghat. They encouraged me to go. So there was no point where I was held back, where I was curbed. And that is the reason why you find that I am so, I consider myself wild. I consider myself free. That freedom came because of the freedom of being encouraged to do things that other mothers in those days would not have allowed their children to do. But of course, you think that anything could curb me. If there was a tree, I had to climb it. If there was a wall, I had to be on it. If there was water, I had to be in the water swimming. I had to be running. I was a very physical person. And guess what? We'd gone for a picnic to a dam. And there was this lovely tree that looked at me and said, come, conquer me. And I went and I climbed it. And when you are doing something with full focus, you never pay attention to the nitty gritty. And I was climbing. I must have been all of maybe 8 years old, maybe lesser or maybe maximum 10. And then guess what? From this branch, I looked down. And what did I see? I saw a torrential wave of water. There was a canal and the waters were rushing. And I just froze. There was no way that I could go backwards, no way that I could go forward, because I clambered right to the top and I was in the middle of the canal. And I felt that I'm going to drop down any moment. Fear. I think that was the first time I knew fear. It was much later that I realized that fear is false emotions appearing real, of fantasized experiences appearing real. So one of my uncles had to clamber up, and bit by bit, inch by inch, he managed to backward pull me off the tree. So these are lighter stories. I'm growing up and talking about encouragement. When I was doing my graduation, when I was doing my B.Ed, I got a chance to be the stage manager for Alec Padamsi's play, Man of La Mancha. Now, you might think that the stage manager's job is a very easy job, but I knew everyone's roles by heart. I could enact them because if any of them were absent, I would take the parts. And I had to take care of so many things. And my God, how I enjoyed it. But they were all working women. They were all working men. And they could only practice afterwards. And not once did my mother say, you cannot go. She had full faith in me. She let me go out because we would start our practices rather late in the house of someone in the terrace. And I realized that yes, if there is freedom, then along with freedom comes a sense of responsibility. So I ensured that though I came home in the wee hours of the night or the wee hours of the next morning, always well, because I loved the acting, I loved the participation. Of course, there were always the downside. So while I was doing my B.Ed, I was the youngest in class. And guess what? Some of my mother's friends were my classmates. And guess what? On certain days, they would go home to my house after class and play cards with my mother. And I would be faffing around, going to Jahangir Art Gallery, going somewhere with friends, trying different eateries and all that. And by the time I'd get home, they would all look up at me. Where are you coming from? We came here before lunch, straight from college. So these are the kind of things that I had to put up with automatically. But I tell you, my mother had to put up with much more. I got married. Before marriage, I was very fond of singing. And my mother ensured that wherever we went, there was some master who would come home in Dehradun. I was like between 9 and 10 years of age then. I used to have a sight impaired music teacher who would come home and teach me the rags and teach me how to play the harmonium. What are the big words used nowadays? Inclusion. Did I need to be told this is inclusion? Automatically, I realized that they're all part of our extended family. It never occurred to me that this guy is something different from us. Okay, I've got a plaster in my hand and he can't see. In fact, look at him. He's got a special watch which he opens and he can feel what the time is. We came to Bombay. My mother worked. She worked in a school and she took care of the hearing impaired. Inclusion. We were taken to the school, and when we went to the school, we played with those kids. We never felt that they were any different. We learned to communicate with them. It was so beautiful. So that when the Pinkathon came and we were going to the schools where they were the hearing impaired, it was very easy for me to talk about my son and my daughter, and I would connect. And that is what my mother taught me. You will not believe that on my 60th birthday in Kunur, every person, and we spent from the 10th of June to the 19th of June, because my birthday is on the 11th. My father's younger brother, who got married to my mother's younger sister, his birthday is on the 14th. My sister, Radhika Khanpur, whose name you can see on the laptop, her birthday is on the 17th. And my brother-in-law, her husband, his birthday is on the 18th. So we used to make it a point to be in Kunur between the 10th and the 19th of June, just so that we could have all these things celebrated together. And anyone and everyone that my mother invited, they would all come. You know what happened at her birthday just now in March, 19th of March? We called 47 people. My sister had organized it with my brother-in-law beautifully in Zara at the Oberoi, where you can see the entire Marine Drive in front of you. There were 2-3 couples who had other lunch dates. There was one couple who were going to be in Delhi. They canceled those lunch dates. And the lady and her husband flew in from Delhi. Her husband flew back the same evening. She stayed on to play cards with my mother on the next day. And what do we see? We see an outpouring of love for my mother from all ages. She gets along with the tiniest to the oldest. And they call her Auntie Ji, all of them, all ages. And I think she's more like a Jagat Ma, because I know that there are a lot of women here, a lot of friends here who consider her as their mother also. In fact, one of the messages that Bina said, Mama Kamla Bhushan is my mother also. I know that she loves all my friends. I even remember that apart from the I inspire book launch at the Duchess. Once mom had come and I had taken her to the brew to show off this lovely restaurant. And just an idea, I just dialed Nina and I said, hey, my mom and I are at brew. She was busy somewhere. There was a group activity that she was doing. She dropped everything and she came to meet mom. That is what she inspires in people of her age, younger than her, way younger than her, my friends, and even the friends of my kids. She just draws and attracts people. And I tell you, when she's not well, I just tell her, Ma, how are you? And she says, this is all age related. I have never heard her complain. I have never heard her whine. And I think that is what keeps all of us going. Because she is a living example. And not only that, I think, if I can even go so far as to say that my mother is my living legend. And she is my role model. And she is the one who has inspired me to do everything along with my father. The unconditional love and the nurturing that my mother and father have, just showered on my sister and I. I don't think that anyone in the world, everyone says their parents are the best, but no, but everyone gets the best from their parents. And we are lucky to say that we have absolutely got way before and way beyond what perhaps we even deserved. And every day, I am so grateful to the Lord Almighty for giving me this set of parents. Now, every time I went through something, whether it was my stillborn or miscarriages, I had woman power. I was diagnosed in Chennai and I was all set to have my surgery here. And my mother said, no, we will send one elderly lady to look after your twins. My twins were all of 7 when I was diagnosed on Friday, the 13th February, 1998. But she said, your support system is in Bombay. So instead of all of us traveling to Chennai, one person, you come and get your treatment there. So that's what I did. My mother, my sister, my mother-in-law, my sisters-in-law, they just rallied around. And I realized that woman power is something that is so omnipresent, omnipotent, so strong, so uplifting, and at the same time, so embracing that anyone who is getting the benefit can just melt into a feeling of being taken care of and looked after. And I think that is what inspired me to want to have a cancer support, because I was lucky. I was lucky to have my parents, my in-laws. I was lucky to have my friend Suraya flew down to Bombay to be with me for my first surgery, even though her daughter turned 35 on that 25 on that particular day. But she chose to be, it was a very important year for Minna. She chose to be there. So I've had all this showering of love from everyone. While I was pregnant with the twins, I remember Kavita was there. I went through, they were going to abort my twins because they said that you have typhoid or some such thing. And the doctors in Bombay, my gynecologist, wanted to abort the twins. And Mandeep, my husband, refused to take the decision. So he said, and he said, you please come and decide. And that day, uh, my spiritual godmother, Lali Auntie, she came, she asked me, how are you doing? And I said, this is what's happening. I'm going through shivering, and then I'm sweating profusely, and they want to abort the children, the fetuses, because they want me to have chlorostrep, and chlorostrep destroys or damages the fetuses. And she said, don't worry, I'm going to get a group of Sai devotees. We're going to pray for you. I'm coming away right now with Vibhuti. And that's what I did, 2-3 times a day. By the time my mother came, my fever had gone. But during those days, Kavita used to sleep on the ground, on a mattress, because I needed help. I had a maid and I needed help. I couldn't even walk on my own when I was pregnant. And she had little kids, and it was supposed to not be the best of solutions to be with someone, because you could perhaps pass it on to the tiny ones. But I've been so lucky, because there has always been, with the grace of God, my family and my friends who have stood behind me. And when you talk about tidal wave, I actually think of it very positively, because I've always had a tidal wave of love, which has uplifted me through thick and thin. The first person I knew, apart from my Masi, most of you know Kanan Barma, was Geeta Reddy. And she was the one who introduced me to Dr. Vasanti of Apollo. And Dr. Vasanti has been phenomenal. In fact, thanks to her and Sharad Kumar, we got to know that I have twins. Now, let me tell you about something. My mother has been there for all my miscarriages. And I am going through what I'm going through. But a mother's heart gets wrenched apart. And I don't know how many times I have been the cause of this wrenching. Because when I was very happy. I was 8 months pregnant, and there were 3 times, 6 in the morning, and 1 in the afternoon, and 6 in the evening, when I would get little kicks. And one day, I found that morning I was asleep. In the afternoon, I had some friends over for lunch. And in the evening, I told Mom, I said, Mom, I can't feel anything. And then she said, okay. We rang up the doctor. He said, the 8th month, the child rests. But finally, my mom and I went. And this new system of different rooms. So because mine was not an emergency, they put me in a room, and by that time it was 11. I, of course, promptly went off to sleep. All the patients had gone, and the doctor came to check. First with the small machine, the fetal heartbeat, couldn't get it. Then he got the big machine, and he said, you'll have to get into the hospital. The child is no more. And you know what my mom told him? Doctor, please don't do a cesarean, because she won't have something to show for it. Just let it be an induced labor. So the next day we got into the hospital. She was with me overnight. And, they kept saying, I said, you're not feeling the pains and everything. They said, no. It hasn't expanded, and so on and so forth. So I told Mom, Mandeep, and poor guy, he flew in. And I told my mother, I said, Mom, please go home, have breakfast, have a bath, and come back. Mandeep is with me. And Mandeep was there. And I started, I said, Mandeep, do something, I'm dying. And he realized that he could see the fetal heart, the fetal head. And he ran out to get someone, and he got the breech candy as a huge matron. She came charging in. I caught hold of her belt and I said, sister, save me, I'm dying. And I broke her belt. And she actually managed to, the doctor was an emergency, his assistant wasn't. She is the one who was able to bring the child out. And there was no episiotomy. It had just been shattered. And I held this lovely baby in my arms. Only my mother and I have seen the child. Only she and I have held it. No one else wanted to. And my mom took away this lovely, I don't even need to shut my eyes. Rosebud lips, tall baby, lots of hair, slender. And mom took her away in with my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and my husband, and I was alone in the room. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that when things are instilled in you, spiritual matters, which can only come to you through your parents, and that is what has helped me. So while I was there, I was numb with shock. And I looked out of the window, and suddenly there is a shift. Suddenly the shift was that these 8 months have been the happiest of my life. I was so happy. I was so involved. I was talking to the little, she's called the little one. In fact, even Shivani says, Mom, you remembering the little one? The little one. And I suddenly felt so much of gratitude. Yes, tears poured down my face. But I felt so much of gratitude for these 8 months of such immense joy. And then the next thought, where does all this come from? The next thought was, God, I am so lucky that this soul that I've housed for 8 months, I'm so lucky to be the chosen one, because this soul didn't have more than 8 months to live to get out of a cycle of birth and death. So, is it a point of consolation? Did I console myself? But I promise you one thing. That feeling was so strong, that by the time my mother had come back after taking the baby and they buried it somewhere, and she came towards me as if she just wanted to embrace me. She did. She held me in her arms, and she didn't have to say anything. It was as if, is there anything that I can do? Is there anything? And I think I shocked her. My poor mom, I shocked her. I said, yes, Ma, I'm very hungry, and the chicken biryani in this hospital is very good. I think for a bit, my mother must have said, yes, Satyai gayi hai. She's gone mad. You know, the sorrow, the pain, the suffering, the tragedy has shattered her. She then realized that I would have come to some kind of an understanding. And she did what I asked for. Where do these thoughts come from? It has to be something in the family. You hear it. My father came from an Arya Samaji family, where they don't believe in idols or statues. They believe in the elements. They believe in the Havan. My mother came from a Sikh family, where there is always the Granth Sahib that she used for all our birthdays. She opens it up and she reads out of it, and she makes Kara Prasad. every time there is something to celebrate or some important event to look after or and I guess these things just filtered through perhaps the lessons we learned, perhaps when you overhear things that the pundits are talking after a havan. Otherwise, where would, and these thoughts that, oh yes, there's one thing that I love to do, and I've been doing it for years. I love the Hindu because it has the Sudoku, and next to it, it always gives you some very, I will not even say religious, some spiritual point, of course, based on the Vedas or depending on what festival it is, Ramzan or whether, Gurpurab, they always tell you something. And I think I just probably absorb it without even realizing. And what is it? What have I learned? That if you focus on something, like I do every morning on the Sudoku, I find that if you start doing a Sudoku, or if you start a meditation, the two things that I find really give solace to my my being, because it's like you shut out everything else and you focus and you go with the flow, and your mind, your being, your soul is immersed and involved in either the meditation or the Sudoku. And I tell people, I tell the young, if you're in two minds, idhar jaun ya udhar jaun, just remember that you do these things, then you can actually come out of it new and improved. Your perception can change. Just give yourself a chance. My mother always says, keep your options open. My mother always says, whatever happens to you happens for the best. And when I was young, and I'd say, broken bone, what is she talking about? But as far as I'm concerned, every wrong thing that I have gone through has taught me lessons that I can tell the world that, listen, cancer, I've been there, done that. Don't do this. I insisted it was wrong. Don't do this. I went through it. Whether it was going out and enjoying myself when my uh, blood count was so low that I had to delay my chemotherapy by a week, 10 days, and I was pumped with steroids. These are all things that happen for the best for me in the vocation or in the passion or the dedication of what I've done with my life. Because from these lessons that I have personally experienced, and when a cancer patient looks at me and says, do you understand? Someone can go and pat them on the shoulder and say, be positive. They say, but do you know what I'm going through? Do you understand? Do you know what my family is going through? And I say, yes, I've been through it twice. I know what you are going through. I know surgeries, I know chemos, I know radiations. I know what your family is going through. Mine has gone through it. And I know as caregivers what you're going through. Because my father passed away with cancer. So in front of me, there's not a 1 in 1, 2 in 1, or 3, there is 3 in 1. I've gone through cancer. I'm counseling cancer patients, and I've also been a caregiver. So I think God just said, right, buddy, when I was in the nursery and there was a new child, the teachers would make me responsible. And I would tell the mothers, Auntie, don't worry. She'll cry a bit or he'll cry a bit. Main hu na, I'll take care of him. And the child would take to me, and the mother would depend and go away. So I guess this broad shoulder for anyone to to lean on, not cry on, lean on, and to get Josh is what I was meant to do. My mother, there throughout. Ma, I have to get my uterus and ovaries removed. There throughout. Ma, Shivani and Siddhartha is sick. She's in hospital with a drip. There throughout. I mean, how much have I put her through? None the worse for it, but there is that resilience that is there. And that is what I've got from her. There is that faith in God, intense faith that my parents have. That is what I've got from them. Do you know my mother, when she's talking or when she's playing cards, in her mind, she's always saying the jap. Satnam, Satnam, Satnam Ji, Vaiguru, Vaiguru, Vaiguru. So these are things that one takes on. And 12:15. We're running out of time.
Go on and on because
No, because
so
it's like,
much
you
to
know,
learn from you.
Sujata, I mean, she's just transported us into her childhood, into her early childhood and later on, and some such poignant tales. I mean, I've known her for many years, but there's always something, always that I learn new from her, you know. It's been fabulous, Neerja. I mean, my eyes are wet listening to your stories, okay? So
I can see Kavita.
you have touched so many chords in each of us, babe, you know, as usual, really.
Satya. Thank you so much. But you know, I seriously didn't expect the original family. I thought it was the extended family and my family. And I mean, thank you, Nina, and my Paanch Pyaaris for making this possible. Thank you.
Neerja,
And
so much.
Auntie Ji is still there, Neerja.
Yes, mom is hearing everything.
Neerja, actually, we did something small for mom. Actually, you know, Sujata, can you announce what that is?
Yes, we sent a small cake to Auntie from
Oh
all
my.
the Duchess Club.
This is a small gesture from Duchess Club, and this has
I think
been.
Auntie Ji wants to say something.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you very
please.
much. Not only Neerja, but all her friends who have given me so much of respect, so much I didn't realize that I really need it or not. Thanks a lot, and lots of love to each one of you. Each one of you.
Thank you, ma.
Thanks again. I wish I could either call you all here. I would love it if you all can sometimes come and be with me. I look after you like I look after them.
Oh, I need just one minute.
This is my real wish. If you can all come here sometimes.
You know, I just want to make a mention of one little thing that
It'll,
2019.
I come to Neerja very often and see you all. But you know, you will come and see Bombay, a little bit of Bombay at least.
Sure, ma, sure, we'll give it.
I just want to say that in 2019,
And
my
Neerja,
mother
thank you
was
very much
given
for the
the-
lovely cake.
my mother was given the Saluting Motherhood Award by
Thanks
Born
a
to
lot.
Be.
Thank you.
And
Love you. Love
it
you.
started with her. And I can't thank you people enough. All dear friends, all dear faces, with so much love to each of you. And Kavita, that bindi is looking very nice.
Would you, Sujata, can we ask Sutaya and Kavita to say a few words because they've known her the longest? So, you know, let's.
Kavita, please unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself, Kavita.
I've unmuted.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I thought Suraya would like to say something before. She's not there. Okay. So my journey with Neerja, she has already said. At this point, I can only say that I have learned so much from her. She's my go-to friend when I have nowhere to go. And she's always there, whether it is at 3 a.m. or whether it is at 7 a.m. She's always there. And she's the naughtiest one. And she's taught me a lot. And I started my spiritual journey after my mom's teachings with Neerja, teaching me personally Tattva Bodha. And she personally taught me that. And that's how my spiritual journey started, I think in 1992 or 1990. So, and I would like her to whistle once, because that's what I always stop her from. Neerja, no, please don't embarrass me. So today I would like her to whistle once for me, Neerja, please. Thank
Life
you.
has come full circle, Kavi. I never thought
Okay,
I'd see
over
this
to you,
today.
Suraya.
Suraya, please, Suraya.
Suraya? Suraya, unmute.
Please unmute yourself, Suraya. Yeah.
Great. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm in Delhi. Beta, zara आवाज कम करना थोड़ा, please. Thank you. Sorry, it's just that suddenly someone had come and I had to just. All I can say is it's been such a pleasure to be here, especially where Neerja is talking about her mom. And mom, I think, has been mom to all of us. We all love her as a mother ourselves because she has given that kind of a unconditional love to each and every one of us. And I think I'm so, so glad that I'm with all of you wonderful ladies, because I know the kind of love you share, we share with each other. So I think it's great being here on this day, girls. Please take care of yourself and be safe. Love you guys.
Suraya, thank you. As we love you too. And like everyone says, Suraya is a mentor to so many people, and so is she for me. She's the one who introduced me to fitness. So thank you, Suraya. Yeah. I would also request Vibha if she's there, because I think Neerja and Vibha share a very special relationship. They call each other fun buddies. So Vibha can say something about her, and then we'll go on to a thank you formal.
Please unmute yourself, Vibha. Yeah.
Hi, girls.
Hi.
Yes, I have had a beautiful journey with Neerja, but our journey has been only fun, and lots of naughtiness and beautiful memories. And yes, I've learned so much positivity from Neerja. She stood by me through thick and through thin. Thank you, Neerja. I love
Thank
you.
Love you all. Love you, love you, love you.
Just wanted to share some pictures of Neerja.
Huh?
Just some. This is what I wanted to share.
Oh, my sister Radhika, Preeti, Chinky.
That's the little Neerja.
And my niece always says, Babi Masi, you're always eating. Even through my chemotherapies, there's a video that's done and they say, Masi, you're always eating.
Cheers.
Hey, this is today's. Sakina took this. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Rathi, would you like to say?
I'm doing the thank you today.
Okay.
So I'll do it last. Anu Agarwal?
Okay, can I speak then? Yeah.
Sure, Anu. Sure.
Can I go? Yeah. Okay, now, Neerja, that was not only inspirational, but very touching too. And on a personal note, I would like to say that I know Neerja 36 years back when I got married and came here through maybe family connections, and I had joined Sankalp, an organization.
Yes.
So she is a social service worker, not now, from those years. That is how I met Neerja, and I know her that bubbly, always bubbly. What she was earlier, she is today also. So that was Neerja for me always. And I know she's always for us, for anyone, whoever is in need, whenever. So thank you, Neerja, so much for today's talk. It was really, really inspirational. Before I give it to you, Rathi, I just want to say a message from all five of us to all our members who are staying alone in these very, very tough times, just to tell y'all that we are very proud of y'all and we are just a phone call away. So please be connected, and we are going to get connected with y'all soon. So some of the names, I think some of them are here today. For example, Prema Venkat, Pramila Rajan, Cynthia, Chitra, Vasanti Vasudev, Srimati Iyengar, our own Dr. Pritika Chari, who's such an inspiration for us, Monica Sundaram, Indira Shantakumar, Visha Lakshmi, Vara Lakshmi, Tara Umesh, Usha Divakar, Ajita, Meghala, Kanchana Bose, and Jyoti Setupati. We've got quite a few who are staying alone. We are really proud of you. Thank you so much.
Anu Sachdev, you're there, right? Anu?
Yes. I'm here. Hi, Neerja. Sorry, my apologies that I logged in late. I've known Neerja before I got married. I know whether Neerja remembers me. We started exercising at the Swedish culture. Neerja, I remember you so well. The bubbly and I mean, such a happy person. And you used to you and Suraya used to fill the room with so much of, what do you call energy, I would say. Yeah. And I remember, my God, and I would wonder, you guys will be in your leotard, and I'll wonder whether I should wear my salwar or I should wear a t-shirt with my salwar, so conscious. And I think I just really came out of all that, just watching all of you. And since then, Neerja, you've been real inspiration to me. I've been a quiet watcher, and I know I've been drawing a lot of energy from you. And God bless you. God bless you and your family. And I think I meet Shivani sometimes more often than you because of the kids in the family. So, happy Mother's Day and pranams to Auntie, and definitely love to meet Auntie sometime when times are better.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Neerja, even I would like to say a big, big thank you for a wonderful talk and so emotional and so loving. I've known Neerja through Shishya when the kids were growing up together, Shivani and Siddharth, and they were little baby boys and baby girls, and Neerja said, put them into the sports camp, and that's what I want you to take care of them as. And both of them got the individual championships, and one was the head girl and one was the sports captain.
Blue House captain, Godu captain.
Yes, Godavari captain. Yes. So fantastic, Neerja. Thank you so much. And I've had a long relationship with you when it came to my sister-in-laws, both my sister-in-laws, and you've been such a support and so much of strength you gave me. Thank you.
And you know what I remember? Your daughter, every time I was selling 10 rupee roses for Sankalp.
Yes, she was.
She and Gayatri would come running and take roses and go and sell them all over the Utsav and come back with the money. Can we take more? Both of them would charge off. So, yes, we all go back such a long time with different linkages, different connections. But that is it. We are all souls connected deeply one to the other from anywhere and everywhere. And I could keep talking, but thank you for extending, especially time for me. And God bless. God bless.
Yes, Rathi.
Yeah, that was such a wonderful morning, Neerja. Pranams to Auntie Ji and to all the lovely mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day. It was such a pleasure to have you with us today, Neerja. What a roller coaster ride you've had. You truly have emerged a superwoman and a conqueror. I do at Suraya's iconic classes right? About 25, 30 years ago. And
Yes.
I used to always look forward to the class, and I always used to look forward to meeting you because you always had something nice to say every time, right? And no, you've been so consistent throughout and so full of life, spreading good cheer, happiness, and always there for all of us. And of course, like Kavita said, your whistles, that was a trademark, right? Can you
She's
do
a
it once
trained
more for us?
person.
Once more?
Once more with feeling.
Once
Okay,
more.
so I must tell you that every time I whistle, it is a sign for the maids to come running. So she came in and opened the door. Kya chahiye?
Yay! That's it. Fantastic. Thank you for your dose of sunshine and for your cheer. And yes, all need it now. They've come. And may you continue. May you continue to spread your good energy and love and make the world a better place for all of us. Thank you so much, Neerja. God bless you.
Blessings.
Can we
And
all
the
take a
best of
picture now? Can we
everything.
all take a picture now? With everybody
Anu's
having
gone.
a heart,
Anu.
everybody
Yeah.
having a heart on their screen.
Yeah.
Lovely. I
Anu,
don't
you
know
have to put your phone this way.
I don't know how to do that.
How do you do the heart?
Go to the reactions and
Coming, yeah.
Rathi, go to more and then just find the heart. The more.
More, okay, more. Yeah.